Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada.
Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada.
Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo.
Nitai Gaura Haribo, 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 Nitai Gaura Haribo. What happened now? What's the MC?
Hare Krishna.
Do we have an MC here?
Hare Krishna. May I request all the devotees, those are sitting on the back, I would like, if you could kindly come forward. See, there is so many seats in the front, so use the hall. Thank you. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Krishnaya Vasudevaya Haraye Paramatmane Pranatah Klesanasaya Govindaya Namo. His Grace Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu Ki. So, this evening, as you know that His Grace Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu has left this world on the 5th of February at around 10:10 in the evening, while Mother Gunachuda was present there. At that time, she was chanting the holy name. Such a wonderful day that was. It was Bhismastami, and nice day he has left his body, and here we are for his remembrance. I would like to request first Mother Bisaka, if you could kindly come forward, have a word about it.
Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskyata Deshatarane Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha, kripa sindhubhya evacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo, namo namaha. Thank you all very much for coming this evening. This is a community function because we are now in the absence of our dear Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu, who served here selflessly, steadily, for a long time. I think all of us have an image of him doing his service daily, regardless of the weather, regardless of whatever his mind was saying, regardless of whatever bodily discomforts he may have had. Every day he was doing his service, perhaps a simple service, but whether simple or complex, it's accepted by Lord Sri Krishna and by Srila Prabhupada. So we honor him for that. And we want to also emulate his steadiness. And although he's missing from our presence, we have the comfort of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, that the soul is eternal. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. It is unborn, primeval, ever existing. So he lives on. We don't know where or how. But we are grateful that he was amongst us, and we take this opportunity to glorify him together, to remember him, and to be grateful that he was part of our community and contributed to it in such a selfless, exemplary way. So thank you for coming. We look forward to hearing your memories of this Vaishnava. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Visakha. Now I would like to request Her Grace Guru Charan Padma Mataji, if you could kindly come. Also, if there is any other devotees, they haven't given me their name for speaking, please come forward, let me know. Sure.
Hare Krishna. So wonderful to see so many devotees gathered together to honor this wonderful Vaishnava. I'm looking at this photo here, and it must be from quite a few years back. So I think how many years he was serving at Bhaktivedanta Manor, I don't know. But I think that photo, potentially Prabhu was here, so it must be some time back. A few years ago at the Janmashtami celebrations, we had one tent that was called Unsung Heroes. And it was honoring devotees who are very quietly and wonderfully serving, but don't make a show of things and just humbly get on and do things. And I think probably Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu is one of those examples of an unsung hero. I've just been amazed hearing over the past few days, because whatever I knew of him was through Mother Gunachuda, and she has told me that he actually was even though he was a man of a few words, that he actually was very learned and used to give Bhagavatam classes, and I can see that all that knowledge he had, he put into practice in the example of his life of service. I used to sometimes, because we all lived in Radlett, and he would walk down to the temple and back home again, and sometimes struggling getting up the hill, and often I would ask him if he would want to ride. Sometimes he would accept, and sometimes he wouldn't. And when he did accept, he just was a man of very few words, but just very solid devotee, a fellow Canadian, which is always nice. I think he spoke French as well, didn't he? Yeah, he spoke French as well. Probably other languages as well. Italian. Fluent Italian. Incredible. I think it's a lesson for us all that none of us know when our time to depart from this world will be. And so we always have to be prepared. Goloka Vrindavan was relatively young in age in this physical body, but his time had come to go back to Krishna. So he also, from what I understand, had led a life, or what I've seen, a life in preparation for that time when Krishna calls, and none of us know when that is. So, just his wonderful example of preaching, Harinam, book distribution. He actually imbibed Srila Prabhupada's mission, his mood, and just was so, as Mother Visakha said, so steady in his service. So my heartfelt condolences to Mother Gunachuda, who's my dear friend and sister, and Gopal. And thank you all for just coming to honor this wonderful Vaishnava. It sounds like he had a very auspicious departure, very quick, and all of us hope for that we don't have to suffer for a long time, but it sounds like he was also prepared. So Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu Ki Jai.
Thank you, Mother Guru. I would like to request His Grace Ananta Prabhu, if you are here, please come forward.
I can't hold the mic. Well, I could put it on here. Okay. That's a good idea.
This one.
Okay. Okay. I guess I'm speaking, on behalf of the Harinam Party, like representative, if you want. I never knew, I guess a lot of us never, we always called him Vrindavan, so we never knew his full name until recently, which is interesting. Well, I'm just waiting, yeah, it needs to be. This is, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So I had a few recollections, and I'm glad that this morning a couple of people said he was a man of few words and not easy to get close to, because I'll allude to that in here a little bit. So I've written a few recollections I had, and then I've written a short poem, which may overlap slightly, but if something's worth saying, it's worth saying again, is my idea. So I'll read this, not too quick, slowly, and I may have to just explain something very briefly, or not, I don't know. Let's just see how it goes. Okay. Goloka Vrindavan was a very nice-natured person with that huge smile. Never want to talk about other devotees in a negative way. In fact, he didn't like small talk at all. Sometimes in the minibus, if he thought we were talking nonsense, or otherwise, he would start to chant Hare Krishna mantra quite loudly. And we thought we were talking okay, you know, like trying to solve ISKCON's problems, you know, as we do in the minibus. So yeah, he did that. In fact, he had a very powerful voice. There were occasions when we would ask him to lead, and the joke would be that he didn't need a microphone, because he really did have a powerful voice. He later, in the last few years, preferred to distribute the leaflets, books, and prasadam. Now, most of you probably know these on-chanting leaflets, which we give out. I think there's 200 in a box. And when he was doing those alone, he would give them out really quickly and enthusiastically. And I can only compare his efforts to Bhajahari Prabhu. If anyone ever saw the way Bhajahari, he would give a box out, or 2 boxes in an evening. And so sometimes we had to go back to the minibus and get another box for him, because he just gave them out so fast, and basically no one could resist, you know. In more recent years, he would give out books which he had already paid for. In that way, he gave out plenty, both large and small books. I think mostly small, because he could, you know, carry more and give them out quicker. And that's something he also liked to do with great determination. Almost nobody escaped him. He had a way, you know. He's a big, you know, and he was quite animated. So if you ever watched him, I mean, we did, you know, he was really good. As a regular on our Harinam party, you know, he also worked in the kitchen, which we all know. Sometimes he had to work there on Saturday as well, which he wasn't too happy about, and nor was I, to be honest, because sometimes we didn't have enough devotees, and everybody mattered. I think I wrote to the kitchen manager to ask if they could allow him to come with us. I don't remember if I received an answer. Possibly. Probably not. To ask if they could allow him to come out. But I know when it was wedding season, he could not get away, and he would joke with me that they will sack him if he takes Saturday off. So he had quite a sense of humour, actually, as well, if you got to know him a little bit. And he said, I don't want to get the word wrong, he said they're like dictators or something. But again, in a humorous way. He was never, like I said, he never said a bad word about anybody. There were times when, like I've said, that when our Harinam numbers were low, because we often depended on the ashram devotees as well. So this is something, maybe none of you heard it, but he would be when I got there, I would get there early always, and he would be the first one waiting. So he said, we should get robots to make up the numbers. And he was kind of serious in his humorous way, because he said they won't get sick, and they won't have a bad day, and they'll just do what they're told. And he brought it up a few times, actually. I would often see him during the week, as I think a lot of people did, you know, you walk around and he'd be there with a trolley or whatever he was doing, going from Haveli to the other kitchen maybe. And he would always greet me, raised arms, a big smile. Probably said Gauranga, I can't remember. He would always ask me where we're going that Saturday, just to make sure. because he was obviously so keen. He must have been just meditating on Saturday. Couldn't wait to get out. Yeah, and as I mentioned, he was always there, the first person to, when I used to get there early to open the minibus, and he would come to my car. There would be 2 mridangas, a speaker, a bag of prasadam, and he would take the whole lot at once. You know, he was a big fellow, and he wouldn't, I'd say, well, just hang on, I can give you a hand. No. He wanted to take everything at once himself. It's like he just couldn't wait to get out, basically. And I used to tell him, just take it easy, but no. And another thing I noticed on Harinam, if it didn't happen too often. If there was maybe a drunk person or someone a bit crazy bothering us, in most cases we'd just leave them and they would go away. But I can remember 2 particular occasions, and one person was standing quite near the ladies. I was also near there, but you know, you keep an eye on them, you think they're not going to do anything. He just came over, grabbed him by the scruff of the neck and marched him away. And he did this another time in Bedford. And he said, you just can't. He said, you have to look after Krishna's devotees. You know, you can't take a chance. So while we're just watching, and he'd just say, no, you just got to get rid of them. You know. He was good like that. And yeah, so I've kind of covered that, I guess. In terms of not getting to know him so well, I suppose, because in the minibus I was always in the front debating with Shukadeva about something or other. And so I didn't really have much conversation besides what I've mentioned with him. And I'm saying here, maybe he was a private person to some extent, and it sounds like he was. But he definitely endeared himself to many people, and obviously we miss him. He left us too suddenly, such is life at times. What can we do but pray for that great soul who seemed to leave us untimely, and pray for those left behind that they gain the strength and courage to carry on in the best way possible. So that's basically a few memories. So I've got a poem I've written. I'm not terribly happy with it, but it's just some attempt anyway to, you know, appreciate him. We often hear, you don't know what you've got until it's gone. Now that we reflect that our good friend has moved on. Unexpected, surprising, we just never know when. But if only we could see that great soul again. Bhagavad Gita states, such a great soul is very rare. We can see, for the wayward souls he showed such care. As he loved to make sure each one got a book, and that was his way, doing whatever it took. No one is dearer than one who preaches, so in giving the books, by example he teaches. Come rain, cold or shine, it mattered not at all. He did the needful as he had the wherewithal. Not one to talk idly, always fixed on service. His mood was deep, not just on the surface, showing us the way to please the Lord, which he did so well by his own accord. Doing what was asked of him in all situations, never complaining or showing frustration. Yet if his service was somehow impeded, even stronger than ever, he then proceeded. A shining example of being a disciple, I think he certainly deserves that title. To his Guru Dev, so very pleasing. In that way, he was very appeasing. He will be missed. He was one of a kind. Rendered so much service, conquered the mind. There must be a plan for him to serve elsewhere, but making it for us somewhat hard to bear. Krishna promised, my devotee will not vanquish, yet we lament his passing, left with anguish. Still, we remember him in all he did. Perhaps he can put in for us a spiritual bid. He will go to that place for which we all aspire, earned it by service. That much he did acquire. The best thing for me is to perpetually yearn. From Goloka Vrindavan Das, something I can learn. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Now, His Grace Prayojan Prabhu, if you could kindly come forward. Yeah.
There's many things I remember about Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu. He was, everybody just called him Vrindavan, but certainly I remember one time in the house actually where we had Gaur Govinda Swami get together, a Sangha. And I remember there was a particular person who seemed to think, you know, that in those days there were some that just chanted Lord Chaitanya, you know, the Chaitanya Maha or the Panchatattva mantra. And I remember he got particularly angry with this person. He said, "Get out! Get out!" And I thought, oh my God. He was very forthright, actually. And I remember that so well. And the other times, always in the kitchen. And he was so obliging to people. He somehow, you know, I saw him there, that picture with Patanjali Muni up there, when he was, Patanjali Muni was leading the kitchen, and he's now leading a sort of a sannyas life, but all around the world. But those two together, they used to chuck the pots about, and it was almost you can see the joy in their eyes. That was his thing. And I remember getting cross with him on two occasions. There was one when very early in the morning, about 2:00, he would come to the temple and he'd chant so loudly, "Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna." I remember speaking to Trinadapi about it. But Trinadapi, you know, he saw actually that he's pure. He's pure in his nature, he's pure in his motive, and he has this willingness to carry on no matter what. I was always amazed that he preferred to walk all the way from Radlet and go down there. And so he's a very special person. And there's another time when we were I spoke about, that actually down there he was chanting so loud. I said, "Don't do that. You're waking up the ashram." He had this driving chanting all the time. He was like, you could say, like his Gurudev crying for Krishna. It was there. And I always think of him as so steady, but immensely strong. He had this strength, but his strength of character as well. And certainly with Mother Gurnachuda, I remember them, how Gaur Govinda Swami there somehow had a proper pair there. And how they behaved, is exemplary. You could saintly in a very positive way. Harsh, not so harsh, but very gentle in their nature. So he's one of these persons that you wanted to help him, but somehow he may toss you away, to one side. No, he's okay. And I remember also he was so enthusiastic on this moving the boga down to the kitchen. You couldn't stop him. It was there, he was there. But as I say, those times that he wanted to be out on Harinam, it was just showing his character. That actually he only had one motive, and he was a perfect devotee in that way. He wanted to serve his Gurudev. and that was always in his mind. And also, he would go to, he would be at Bhubaneswar. He would want to be with his spiritual master, as Gunachuda Mataji would wanted to be there. I just think that somehow Gopalju Productions, they should have a big picture in their next magazine with him there, and Mother Gunachuda. I hope so. I hope that happens in the next Krishna Katamrita, which Madhava Prabhu will certainly give us. And but like as Purushottam Prabhu there, he's Ananda Purushottam. He must have been so. He was a rock, for the whole Harinam. And I think that's about all I can say, really. But I feel proud to have had association, though he had a quiet association in his nature. And Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu Ki Jai, Srila Gaur Govinda Swami coming up. Actually, the appearance day of Bhaktisiddhanta was also the disappearance day of Gaur Govinda Swami, so that's something to also bear in mind, a special moment where he left his glorious, this world in a glorious fashion. So, thank you. Vanchakalpa Trubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patitanam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavabhyo.
Thank you, Prajan Prabhu. Hari Bol. Since Prajan Prabhu was reminding me about his service, I came in contact with Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu, I think 2017, Gunachuda Mataji? 2017. It was getting too heavy service for Prajan Prabhu. He was working hard as a temple commander, and Prajan Prabhu has no, how can I put it? He would come and he can sometimes blast at me. I can't do this anymore. You have to really think about what is going on. Look at this, I'm doing this, and believe me, none of the brahmacharis would do that many hours of service as much Prajan Prabhu would do the service. He would do about 80 hours a week at that. So I used to get the heat a little bit. So then when Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu came, he has taken a lot of service from Prajan Prabhu. And he's a person non-stop. You don't have to tell him to stop, or you don't have to say that don't do anymore, because he will do it, and he will do it. Even you say don't do it, he will do it until he finishes the job. There is rain, sun or whatever it is, no matter whatever it is, cold or whatever it is. At one point he would do two jobs. That was Prajan Prabhu's service. He would clean the toilets. Prajan Prabhu, that was his service, and toilets. So remember how much Prajan Prabhu was doing, and exactly Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu started doing the service, and without any complaint. There was never a complaint that I'm doing this much, I'm doing that much. No, not a word. And if sometime I would ask Prabhu, is it okay? Are you doing okay? Okay, I'm fine. I'm doing really good. And anytime we will see each other, he will say, Hare Krishna. That was the first thing. So about 5 days before he was leaving his body, I came to the temple. It was a midday. I met with him. And as we know, we have a nice relationship from the very beginning. I said, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, how are you doing? He said, I'm okay, Hare Krishna, I'm okay. I'm doing good, but I saw you, now my whole day will be wonderful. That's the, amazing positive vibe you will get it from such a wonderful soul. A pure devotee never have anything negative about anyone. He would never come to us, complain about anyone, that, such and such person said me, although he would go through so many difficulties, but always keep it within him. Never made a complaint to us. That much I know. And these are the qualities of the pure devotees. Srila Prabhupada explains from the Bhagavatam, the sloka, Titikshasya karunika sridam sarvadehinam ajata satrava santa sadhava sadhubhusanam. These are the wonderful qualities of the a sadhu or a Vaishnava. And the qualities are Titikshasya, means tolerating. A person who tolerates a lot. And he was one of that, Titikshasya. Always the most tolerant person I have seen in the manner. Karunika, always merciful. If anyone say a word, anything, he doesn't mind. Always the mercifulness is always there with a great smile. Never he would say, why did he say me or something? No, it was merciful always. And then Suhridam, a friendly person, and Sarvadehinam, to all the living entities. Anybody will say him, he would never say a word, or if someone is greeting him Hare Krishna, he will say Hare Krishna. And then he will walk. A personality like Jad Bharat, he will walk all over the places, he will do the service, but he will not say a word. Unless somebody is greeting him, Hare Krishna Prabhu, then he will say Hare Krishna. Otherwise, there is no words will come from his mouth. So these are the wonderful qualities. And then Ajata Satra, a person who doesn't have an enemy. And that's exactly perfect, personality Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu was. Ajata Satra. And then Santa, a person is very peaceful. And then Sadhu Sadhava Bhusanam. And these are and he was always sublime, thinking about Krishna. And that's the way he was, taking care of himself. All the time we have seen him in the temple, he will never engage with a conversation with someone unnecessarily. It's only if it is necessary, he will do it. Otherwise, there is no words coming from his mouth. Always focused on his service, and as you know that Prajan Prabhu was saying that he would chant loudly. For his own betterment, he would chant loudly. And chanting loudly is always his nature. When he would chant loudly, he would feel happy. So that's the way how Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu was. We are calling him Vrindavan Prabhu all the time. So I never even knew his name was Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu. So that's the wonderful character of a Vaishnava like Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Now I would like to request Giovanni Prabhu. Sukha. Yeah, please.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was a wonderful rendition of his qualities. Beautiful. Hare Krishna. Yes, he was such a great devotee, and we can remember him in so many different ways. And when I go on Harinam with the devotees, I quite like to watch devotees distribute books. I watch Meshwar Prabhu distribute books, very serious-minded. His eye is very piercing, and everyone is immediately drawn to him and fully focused. And Giovanni Prabhu, very friendly with everyone, Jivila Prabhu, rather. He's very friendly with everyone, and people immediately pick up on this vibration. So similarly with Vrindavan, I used to watch him, and with his method of distributing, It was so nice. It was just a merciful glance, because like you were saying, everyone said he doesn't speak much to people. But they received his merciful glance, which is very, very nice. As your Vaishnava's glance is so potent, it enters deep into the heart. So the sadhu, he can transport you to the spiritual world in different ways. One is his glance, one is his blessings, and another one is his blessings even if you don't know you've got his blessings. So he's a great well-wisher. So Vrindavan was like that. And one thing about him was, as everyone is saying here, he was such a wonderful, tolerant Vaishnava, and very humble, very humble. I was listening to one great Vaishnava who was giving class recently, one of Prabhupada's godbrothers, and he said that when one thinks oneself very humble, then Krishna has to help. Because in a humble condition, you feel yourself very lowly and you need help. I mean, in that condition, Krishna immediately intervenes and gives you all the energy, spiritual energy that you ever want. So Vrindavan was so humble and never complained. And I can tell you on a couple of occasions, sometimes when you're doing Krishna conscious activities, there's always difficulties in one way or another with various management and so on and so forth. We had a few difficulties sometimes. I hear about his having to work in the kitchen on a Saturday, and that was quite difficult for him. But yet, he tolerated and cooperated, just like his Gurudev would say. Tolerate, cooperate, and stay within ISKCON, or at least stay within working in Krishna consciousness somewhere. Tolerate and cooperate. So he would do that. I didn't know about the kitchen business, but now I hear. So he wasn't very happy, but still he tolerated and he cooperated, and that's a wonderful quality to have, because if we don't have that, we don't have Krishna consciousness. And similarly, even in our group, we had some problems sometimes, because he used to give away books. So you can imagine that some devotees who weren't giving away books, but were actually getting donations for books, it would be quite difficult having one person giving loads of books out and you're trying to distribute it, because you can imagine. So there was a little difficulty, but we worked it out because we discussed between the devotees what the best thing to do was. And he was very tolerant, and so was the other devotee, and we worked out a system that he would go on one side of the street and the other devotee would go on the other side of the street. And he was fine with that. So, and he was very cooperative, very happy, and very obliging. And even though there was these difficulties, he was determined to carry on with his services and not be disturbed, but be fixed. Like his Gurudev was like that. Srila Gauranga Swami, there was one time when the GBC stopped him from even preaching. They told him, no, you cannot preach like that. You have to stop now and don't go to this country or that country. But he tolerated and cooperated. And in time, if you tolerate and cooperate like Vrindavan Das did, and his Gurudev, Krishna makes arrangements in one way or another that what you want to do will come to pass. So we thank we are very fortunate to have such a sadhu with us, and actually we, like so many devotees have said, not until they leave that you begin to realize their wonderful qualities. So actually the last time I spoke to him was on Harinam in Bedford. I was joking with him. There was this stand in Bedford, a marketplace. They were selling these trolleys, old ladies' trolleys to pull shopping trolleys. So probably you're getting very old these days. You're carrying that book bag. Why did you get one of these trolleys? It's only £10. And he said to me, oh, you're a very good salesman, aren't you? So like that. But we were joking together like that. So, Vrindavan Dasa ki jai. All glory to Prabhupada. You're a book distributor.
Thank you, Sukadev Prabhu.
Okay.
I'd like to request Dayal Baldev Prabhu, if you could kindly come and speak.
Hare Krishna, obeisances to the first time I came to meet Vrindavan, Prabhu was in Mayapur. At the time I had a 5-year visa. I was doing service in the Dham Seva office, and in Mayapur, you have 2 weeks a year to travel around and go visit holy places. So then I was sitting outside in the courtyard, and I saw him with his wife coming. And I heard they were talking. I recognized they had a badge of Govinda Maharaj on the bead bag, and I got somehow talking to them, and I told them that the day I got that merciful chastisement, the chastisement by the Gurudev in the manner 92. And then I said, I've got a slight difficulty here. So I said, what's that? He said, I've got 2 weeks to come, and I'm not sure where to go. Then he looks me straight in the face and he says, go to Gadagiri and get darshan of Gopalju. Go nowhere else. So then, and he's very. I still wasn't sure, so he said, you have to go to Gadagiri, and I can honestly say, through that instruction he gave me, the plan was to go to. Go to Jagannath Puri. But then he said, well, there's a place near Gadagiri called, I think it's Balichura, and from there you can get a bus a local bus to Puri. You can go to Gadagiri for a week and then go to Puri. But I ended up spending 2 weeks at Gadagiri. And so by following the instruction, I've got wonderful darshan of Gopalju, and I got the association of Chaitanya Chandra Prabhu for 2 weeks, and then afterwards I came back, and then they went to, I think, Bhumeshwar, and then they bought me a set of DVDs of Govinda Maharaj's lectures, and then I spent about 2 weeks just watching every DVD of Govinda Maharaj, and so I can always think that due to his instruction that I got I could go to Gadagiri, otherwise I wouldn't have ever gone. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Dayal Baldev Prabhu. Nilesh Prabhu here? Please come.
Hare Krishna. I'll just, a small memory from myself, and then also I've got something that Ruben Prabhu has sent in as well. So, from myself, I met Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu when I was in Gurukul, actually, in Canada, many years ago, and actually, I remember him as a young 8-year-old. Just his intensity about how he was, his booming voice and his big glasses, and I'm, only so tall now. Imagine how I was back then. But, and he was so animated as well with his Italian heritage, but it's, it's the booming, Hare Krishna, how are you? Well, it was actually, he wouldn't reach out and say, how are you? He would always wait for us to, we would come, Haribo, Haribo. Then it was the big booming response, Haribo! And, just that. And then many years later, then coming to the manor and working with Mother Gunachuda at the Gurukul and seeing Vrindavan Prabhu with her on a couple occasions. It's actually, I spent a lot of time in the Gurukul and working with Mother Gunachuda, but actually I didn't even know that they were married until a couple of years in, and then once in a while I would be, doing my service, and then I would see him back and forth in Radlet and offer him a ride. And most of the time he would say no, and on a couple occasions he would say, okay, I'm going here. But it was again very, very to the point, and no prajalpa, no anything. It's just, and little bit of philosophy, and then back to the rounds. On a few very few occasions, very direct and very few pointed words around particular things going on at the Gurukul and how we can help. But again, a man of very few words, but very thoughtful words as well. So again, and his presence, although I didn't speak to him for many years, but just a few moments back as a child, I actually remembered his face and remembered his his persona, is because he was this big giant, but so gentle and so kind. And then always in the background, I couldn't remember details of bits and pieces, is because he was always in the background, constant service, constant service, constant service. So again, thank you very much for the few moments that we've had in his association. And it does remind us that we have to not take for granted the sadhu sangha that we do have, and sometimes regret later for missing out on deeper conversations that we could have had. So, Hare Krishna. I'm going to just read the message from Ruben Prabhu as well. Yes. Hare Krishna, dear Mother Gunachuda Mataji and Vaishnavas. Please accept our humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Sri Govinda Maharaj, and all the Vaishnavas. Myself and Shyamsundari have had a very good fortune of getting to know you, Goloka, Gopal, due to our common affection for Srila Prabhupada, Sri Govinda Maharaj, and Srila Fakir Mohan Prabhu. We have spent time together as friends in Bhubaneswar, Sri Marpur Dham, and in England over the past 20 years, and so I've learned so much from both of you. We just want to offer our condolences to you and at the passing of your good husband, Goloka Prabhu. It must be a very difficult time for both you and Gopal. Goloka Prabhu and yourself have been very good friends to my wife and myself, and Goloka Prabhu will certainly be missed. His kind association has brought me closer to the teachings of Sri Govinda Maharaj, who was so dear to his heart, and how he faithfully served him throughout his life. It certainly touched my heart to see his one-pointed dedication. He was always hearing and reading and studying these teachings and propagating them to the best of his ability. He was also loved by the community of devotees around the manor and by his God family around the world. He was so dedicated that even when he was struggling with his health over the last few years, as his body was getting older, he still carried on with the missionary Sankirtan spirit of going out on Harinam and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. I was recently in communication with His Holiness Tapasri Maharaj, your beloved Gurudev's servant, to inform him of Goloka Prabhu passing. He mentioned to me how he spent years together with Goloka Prabhu distributing Srila Prabhupada's books in Boston. Goloka Prabhu also humbly mentioned to me on a few occasions that he was a book distributor in his earlier years in Krishna consciousness. But after communicating with Tapasvi Maharaj, I got to understand just how much he sacrificed when he joined the mission. This is all to his credit, and it is to give us all inspiration, how to use our human form of life to the best of our ability. As you must be aware, due to the affection of the devotees have for Prabhu, Harinams are going to be in his name for his onward journey in the manor, in Bhuvaneshwar, and we will also do a humble offering in Sri Krishna Balaram Mandir in Vrindavan of some garlands to Gaurnitai, Sri Krishna Balaram and Radhe Shyam in Goloka Vrindavan's name for his onward journey. More than anything else, I'm sure that as Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu has taken shelter of Sri Gaur Govinda Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada, he will certainly be protected on his onward journey. Our dear friend, His Grace Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu ki jai.
Is Gopal here? Okay. Atmeswar Prabhu, if you could kindly come forward.
Hare Krishna. So I've got three things that comes to my mind. The first thing is with Vrindavan Prabhu is that because he used to distribute free books. So I was curious why he was doing that. So I asked him, why are you distributing free books? We are not distributing free books. We're always taking donations. And he told me, he revealed to me actually, confided to me. He said, do you know how I came to Krishna consciousness? I said, no. Then he told me that he was walking somewhere and there was one, and it was raining, it was all puddles, mud, what we call in Indian, chikkad. And he saw something there, like a book or something, and he picked it up. Maybe Mataji can confirm, but that's what he told me personally. And he took that and he read it, and that was it. He became a devotee from that. So he said, I got a free book, so I'm giving out free books. Yeah, and he would give out, liberally he would give out free books. He would buy from Jivana Prabhu and just give them out. And I've seen him, actually, like Shukadev Prabhu was saying, I used to watch. And I used to watch him as well. And we would see him giving out books. And people would get shocked, because it's a free book, and this is a big, the Maha big book. He would give them. Just anybody, he would just give them. A little kid, he would give, and he'll give them. And then those people, they're shocked and they're wondering, he must be wanting something. But no. And then they would come forward and like as if to give something, they would ask him something, and he would take out the prasadam packet and give it. Yeah, take that. And then he would just bless them. That's it. It's done. Go. You're blessed. That's how he was, Vrindavan Prabhu. And I'm trying to remember the second thing now. Sorry. But I'll come to the third thing. He reminded me actually, of Krishna's instructions to Arjuna at the end. Sarva dharman parittajama mekam sharanam praja. Where Krishna is telling Arjuna that you give up all your dharmas, give up all your dharmas, just surrender to me, and I will, I will protect you from all the reactions of sin. So Krishna is Arjuna. Now Arjuna's concern, they were Arjuna's concern. Arjuna had concerns. He was concerned about what would happen to society, what would happen to the ladies, what would happen if unwanted children come, what would happen, all the family welfare activities, family traditions, they'll all be devastated, finished. So these were Arjuna's concerns. And Krishna is saying, don't worry about your concern. You leave them to me. I'll take care of your concerns. These are your concerns, so I will take care of them. But you just do what you have to do, and you do it for me. So Arjuna, his surrender was, he took up his bow and arrow, and he fought. So this is what is reminding me of Vrindavan Prabhu, that he left his concerns and he was just doing what he wanted to do, distribute books, chant the Mahamantra, do his service, all for Krishna. It reminded me, it's a very nice example of where, he understands. Because that was what Arjuna's understanding was. Krishna, when he said, give up, he didn't say, oh no, give up everything. No, but Krishna is saying, give up your concerns and just surrender to me and do your fighting for me. So, Vrindavan Prabhu, he seems to have understood that. And that's what his behavior was like that. So, I'm indebted to him for that as well. So I'm sorry, the second thing I can't remember now. Yeah. Vrindavan Prabhu ki jai. Gaur Govinda Swami ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Atmeswar Prabhu. Now I'd like to request Dinanath Prabhu, if you could kindly. Yeah.
Hare Krishna devotees. I'm reading this offering on behalf of Keshav Maharaj. Dear Gunachuda Mataji, family and friends, please accept my humble obeisances, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. My deep condolences on hearing of passing of our dearest Vrindavan Prabhu. I apologize that I can't be there to offer my final respects to a wonderful soul. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur repeatedly emphasized to his disciples, Saralta ei Vaishnavatava. Simplicity is Vaishnavism. I feel Vrindavan Prabhu has captured this simplicity. He got on with his service, avoided being sidetracked, serving with honesty, integrity and consistency over many years. He seemed not to waste any time. The image of him that is most striking in the mind is how he would attentively listen to the messages of Srimad Bhagavatam. He was intently paying attention and sometimes even held his hand cupped around his ears to catch the sound vibrations. He was following the instructions of his dear spiritual master to give rapt oral attention to Harikatha. He never sought attention or appreciation, but simply remained fixed in his service and sadhana. We pray for forgiveness if we unknowingly committed offense to this great Vaishnava. May we learn from his example and remember that Krishna consciousness is simple for the simple. My obeisances and deep respects, your servants, S.B. Keshav Swami. Hare Krishna. Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu ki jai.
I would like to request Priti Laksha Mataji, if you could kindly. Then next Giovanni Prabhu after that.
Hare Krishna. I'm just going to read this from our godbrother Madhavananda Prabhu, and then I might just say one or two sentences at the end. With the disappearance of our friend and godbrother Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu, the world has become a bit darker. A bosom comrade, a devoted disciple of his guru, a caring husband and loving father is no longer with us. We know the famous statement of Srila Thakur Bhaktivinoda that Vaishnavas never die, but are living in sound and always endeavouring to spread the holy name around. Yet at this time, that philosophical truth alone doesn't make me feel satisfied. This is not the time for philosophy. This is the time for crying. On this day, I want to contemplate the heart of this gentle giant. I first met Goloka Vrindavan around 1993 in Bhubaneswar. On the outside, he was a rough and tumble guy who liked to laugh, but behind that facade was an introverted soul whose heart was aching. It's said that the most terrible loneliness is not the kind that comes from being alone, but the kind that comes from being misunderstood. Our revered spiritual master, Srila Govinda Swami Maharaj, used the phrase Atmakrandana to indicate the crying of the soul who doesn't belong to this realm. As he was growing up, like everyone in this world, Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu wanted to be accepted and appreciated. He wanted to be understood. Yet he felt alone in a noisy world where no one could truly hear him. He was an expert hockey player, part of the team, one of the boys, yet inexplicably he felt lonely. Crying in the heart. Oh, God, excuse me. Crying in the heart, he finally met Krishna's devotees, and the candle of hope lit up. Yet even more painful, after some time, he also felt alone in the general devotee society. In this world, even religious persons often focus on the surface alone. Goloka Vrindavan hankered to swim and dive deep. The deepest ache of loneliness is not about being alone, it's about being unseen and misunderstood. When Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu met our Guru Maharaj, he finally found someone who understood the hankering in his heart. Hearing from and serving him became his life. The Goloka Vrindavan I saw was not a big manager, scholar, or expert kirtan musician. He was a small man with a big body, but he was honest. He was a man of substance who had a big heart and who loved Harinam. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, "What is night for all beings is the time of awakening for the self-controlled, and the time of awakening for all beings is night for the introspective sage. Who can see or appreciate the greatness in the quiet benches around us, mumbling and prattling the many names while onlookers say they're crazy, entering and not entering cities, standing still or swaying. Before a laughing world they dance, they leap, undone by feeling. And the gods bow down before them. A poetic translation of a song by Namawa, rendered by A.K. Ramanujan. Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu Ki Jai. Your now more lonely friend, Madhavananda Das. I'd just like to say something about Prabhu, if that's okay. I'm sitting down, sorry, it's the arthritis. Body. So I messaged Gunachuda on Thursday, how are you? As is quite common. She messaged back, I'm in the hospital, with Prabhu going to hospital in the ambulance. So I said, okay, shall I come? You know Gunachuda, those of you who know Gunachuda, no, it's okay. I said, okay, and then I think Gopal called me and said, they've taken him into resus. So I called Gunachuda, who was then crying. I said, okay, I'm coming. So I went to the hospital and Prabhu had already left. And he looked so peaceful and so beautiful. And it was such a shock. And I just, you know, the mind, it's, well, probably not all of you, you've got your minds under control, but my mind just thinks all sorts of random things. And I was thinking, oh wow, you really have done this, haven't you? You've got out. You've actually got out. This material world sucks. It's horrible, it's evil, it's cruel, it's nasty, it's torturous, you know, and you've actually done it. You've actually gone. Just like that. You know, no fuss, no big, you know, ceremonies. You've just, you know, apparently he'd already said in that day that he was going to die that day. And yeah, he didn't talk much. He was all the things that everybody has said about him. It's very sweet to hear, especially, you know, about Gaur Govinda Maharaj, and because that was his whole life and soul. And he was struggling, he was suffering a lot in his body. You know, the body gets old, it hurts, it's painful, he has a back problem. He's lifting heavy things, he didn't have a car, he has to walk up and down from Radlet down to the village. Sometimes, you know, I think on one occasion, last year or year before, I think he was even attacked on the way home, you know. I guess somebody thought he must have been a rich guy walking up and down through those areas of Lechmore Heath. You know, so he was really, really struggling, and unfortunately, you know, because he has unflinching faith in Guru and Krishna and service and the philosophy, yeah, he would tolerate everything. But it was difficult, and it is difficult in society today when there's a lot of sick people out there working, because if they don't do it, there's no food on the table for the family. And Goloka Vrindavan was very Krishna conscious, you know, from my humble opinion, just a perfect devotee, a perfect example, does his service, never complains. He had no interest in being in this material world. He found it disgusting. And I always used to relate with him quite well. Obviously, we're neighbours, we're family, so kind of known him for a long time. And he would often come and knock my door and say, don't tell Gunachuda, but I'm really, really worried about her. You know, and it was sad because he was really worried about Gunachuda and her health, and he was worried about his son. And, you know, he did, obviously he had unflinching faith in Krishna, that Krishna will maintain, and he kept doing that, you know. But he was very worried about his family and who would take care of his family, and, you know, and then for, you know, just doing service, just taking care of the family, he could have just, you know, said, oh, well, Hare Krishna, and I'm going to go and live in India or something, you know, but he didn't. You know, he stayed and he did this kind of austere lifestyle, trying to pay rent, blah, blah, take care of his family, Krishna's family, Gurudev's family. And, yeah, he was just a really wonderful person, and I think was so, as some of the devotees have said, you know, I think Mother Guru said unsung devotee or something, you know, was so learned that he could have given, you know, he could have been giving class, he could have been running a program, he could have been doing any big service, you know, but he didn't. He just cleaned the toilets and he washed the pots, and then for fun he'd go out and Harinam or book distribution. So you know, obviously we're conditioned souls, we don't know what's happening, but you know, with a devotee like that, if you're following Srila Prabhupada's teachings, principles, lifestyle, well, of course you're going to go back to Godhead. That's why Prabhupada gave that formula, and he followed it perfectly. He was faultless, very, very humble, and I think he's very fortunate, and we're very fortunate that we had such a wonderful devotee like that in our association. It's very sad that it's sad for us because we have lost a great devotee. But it's just such an incredible, amazing, auspicious time that he left his body this month. So much could be said about the time of his leaving, but yeah, I hope just that the family will always continue, that the community will always continue to give their love and support and affection for Mother Gunachuda and Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu's dear son Gopal, who is only 24, and a very young 24, spent many years in India, so it's not easy, you know, trying to fit into this society here. Hare Krishna, Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu ki jai.
Thank you, Priti Lakshmi. Joban Prabhu. Mohan Prabhu next.
Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisance of Lord Srila Prabhupada. I wrote something on my phone, but I try not to, try to get my thoughts together and not blabber. I mean, for probably what I wrote down and all the things that I heard from all of you, you know, probably what I wrote down is nowhere near as close as to describe Vrindavan Prabhu. Starting from Harinam, I remember he started to come with us about 8 years ago, and he was always enthusiastic. And for people, for devotee, I mean, that do go out and do books and give books, it's not easy. It's very hard. Try to convince people to take a book. Vrindavan is telling me, say, I can't be bothered, you know. So he used to go and buy books out of his own wage, and I used to do that service for him at no extra cost. There was no incentive, and I would give him the books. He had no car, no nothing, you know, he just walk, and a lot of the time, coming back from the Harinam, I knew that he would walk back and I would feel really bad. And I would have, like, because I would go on Harinam in the evening, and I would have like maybe an hour and a half time, just try to get a little bit of rest, some prasad, run back home, come back at the temple, pick up the minibus, go to London. But I would say to Vrindavan Prabhu, I'll take you home. He goes, no, it's okay, I can walk. I said, no, Vrindavan, I'll take you home. And you say, no, I walk. I said, no, I take you home. I had to really push him. And then when he accepted, he would ask, say, are you sure? Are you sure? Anyway, he was like kind of not reserved. I mean, if you talk to Vrindavan, he'll always talk back to you, you know. And he was always fixed. It wasn't anything mundane, or, you know, it was always like about Krishna Katha. I mean, on the minibus, for example, one of the thing I remember is quite funny, because like I think Ananda mentioned that when devotee, I say they start to share their love and affection, and this happens also while we are on Harinam. devotee do a bit of a catch up while the chanting is going on, and it can be quite annoying sometimes. But I get annoyed, and I would say, "Hey, please, can you share your love and affection later on?" Chant Hare Krishna. So Vrindavana was in that mood. Some devotees perhaps cannot control some of the senses, and I remember saying to one devotee who was sitting behind me, I turned around really annoyed, and I said, "Hey, what did you have for breakfast? A radio?" You know, because he was non-stop, you know, like. And Vrindavan would chant very loud, "Hare Krishna, you know, and you do that a couple of times, and I think the devotees would get the message, and then everything fizzled down. I remember we went to Windsor one time, and he asked me, he said, "Where are we going, Jivana?" I said, "Oh, we're going to Windsor." And he looked at me and goes, "Oh, it's going to be a long journey." Because he was so fixed, you know, and for the things he would tell me, like I would arrive a little bit earlier at the mana with all the books and the sound system and the trolley, and he would go running. He wouldn't even allow me to reverse. "Vrindavan, I'm going to run you over. Wait." You know, I parked the van, and then he will quickly take everything and knock, knock. He would, what would he do? It was something, he was quite sattvic, you know, because I remember he said to me out of the blue, he would go like, "Oh, what's the point?" I mean, for someone to say something like this, he said, "What's the point of living another 10 years, another 5 years, another 3 months? So it's just this body." He would come up with things like that, and for me to hear that, I'm thinking, you know, Vrindavan is not a joker, you know, and to say that, you know, I took it as a quite realized person, you know, realized Vaishnava to come up with things like that, to say, you know, what are we worried about? Worried about another 5 years or whatever time we got left? And yeah, he was quite private, but also he had like he had a sense of humor, and often we shared some like funny things on Harinam or on the minibus. He spoke fluent Italian. I think his family is from Italian descent in Canada, and we would say things to each other and laugh because only me and him would understand what we were saying, but I will share that with you. I remember the fact that he financed his own books and would just give them out. I would sometimes stand around and see people coming by with a big book, or sometimes 4 books. Like, you know, it's just like giving like so many books to a person. So I would sneak up to them and say, "Oh, you got all these books. Do you like them?" Say, "Hey, they're wonderful, wonderful." I said, "Well," I said, "you know," I said, "that devotee gave you the books." I said, "He made a vow. He can't talk. He's not gonna, you know, he's not gonna ask anything to you." Like, you know, I said, "Did they ask you for a donation?" He said, "No." I said, "Well, then you have to give a donation now." So I would, sometimes it worked, and sometimes I just get like, you know, get the bus, you know, but I would just stand back, you know. And sometimes people that would receive a book, they would come back and they would give me donation, and I would give it to Vrindavan, you know. And he told me, he said, you know, I mean, Vrindavan, he was not bothered by it. He didn't have this expectation, like everybody said, you know. He didn't have "Oh, I'm going to go out to sell all these books because I have to make £100. You know, he didn't care. You know, he just spent his money, you know. And that's like it shows like he had no attachment, you know, to work very hard, because working in the kitchen, I worked in the kitchen, you know, as pot washer as well. And working in the kitchen is not easy, you know, and that is really hard earned money, and spending that money and giving it to people, you know, like that, it's like, it's almost hard to understand, you know. Last weekend, we went to Bedford, and he gave out at least 100, 120 books, small books, just little books, you know. And that was his savor. He loved doing that, you know. And on Monday, on Nityananda Parents Day, I went to London Harinam as well after the Watford Harinam. And some devotees from Soul Street, they told me they heard about Vrindavan. Some devotees knew about him, you know. And I was telling them, so, you know, he's always giving out books. Like I was with him last weekend, he gave about 100 books away like that, you know. And some get thrown away, or some get taken care of, or whatever. And the devotee I was talking to, he said, that's okay, you know. I said, because that anybody comes in touch with these books, it's somehow engaged in the service. He said, you know what's happening here? The dustman coming back to us, because we distribute books on Oxford Street, and one of the dustmen is picking up books from the bin, and it's turning them back to Soul Street, and it's giving back to us. So even the bin man cleaning out, you see the connection. Even the bin man that has nothing to do, you know, is somehow engaged by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, picking up books from the bin, and he's the conscience telling him, okay, well, they're in the bin, who cares? I can just chuck them. But no, he picked them up and take them back to Soul, you know. So, you know, this is Vrindavan, you know. He didn't care about donations, you know. And I can't remember if it was this weekend or the other week. He said to me, we need to bring a club so we can bash people. I mean, because he said, you know, they receive. He was telling me, you know, he said they're receiving the mercy, but they don't understand. He said, you know, but he didn't mean it like that. You know, he was just joke said. Said, Jivana, what do you think? You bring the club, and we. And then another time he said to me, he said, Jivana, they don't want the books. You know, they don't want the books. They don't understand. I said, what we should do? And look at me, and then goes like, so this is where Vrindavan, although a lot of us knew him as like very private, but when you talk to him, you know, he had a big heart, and he would come out, you know, always nice things. He never said anything bad about anyone. And I remember on this, when he was mentioning, Jivana, they don't want the books, you know, they don't understand, they're getting the mercy. And he said, you know what? I said, what? He said, I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get a bunch of £5 notes, and everyone that comes by, we'll give him a £5 note and a book, so they would take the book. You know, so although like maybe many of you didn't have like a close relationship with him, but Vrindavan had a big heart, you know, and I shed so many tears, like burst into tears when I found out, and you know, but it's not that I'm dry over tears. I'm actually very happy, because having the relationship with Vrindavan made me realize what a great soul is, what a nice devotee of Vaishnava, and telling me these things, you know, saying, you know, what's the point of living another month, or, you know, it's quite a realized person, and I relish the moment of laughter and joy that I had with Vrindavan. And I'm sure like all of you will miss him, you know. Vrindavan Prabhu Ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Jivan Prabhu. Such a wonderful talk about Vrindavan Prabhu. He was such a realized soul, of course we all know, and he will be always quiet. No matter how much you speak behind his back about him, he will quiet. He will listen, but as an intelligent person, he will keep quiet, never say a word. So a very intelligent and very wonderful, wonderful soul. I would like to request Mohan Prabhu, if you could kindly. Then next is Krishna Nama Prabhu.
Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Vrindavan Prabhu Ki Jai. Something Jivana just said there reminded me of a story, a little tale I heard the other day. And imagine a room 4 times the size of this whole Haveli. And it's filled with people. And they're all Christians. And at the front, like standing at the front here, is the pastor. And he says to them, "Who here wants to go to heaven?" And they all go, "Yeah, Jesus, I want to see Jesus. I'm going heaven. Are you going heaven?" And they're all getting excited. And they like this for like 10, 15 minutes. And he manages to calm them down. And then he goes, "Who here wants to die?" And everyone's quiet, you know. But it's devotees like Jivana was saying, Vrindavan, we had that realization. You know, I remember someone, I think it was Satchidananda Swami, said to Tribhuvanatha Prabhu, goes, "Do you fear death?" And Tribhuvanatha Prabhu said, he goes, I see death as like walking from one room into another room. And that's a realization. And from hearing the character of Vrindavan Prabhu, it's that same thing of, you can't be serious, you can't be sober, you've understood the purpose of life is to go out and distribute the holy name and books. That's the realization. We're the servants of the name, you know, and you can't have any of those things unless you're realized. And I think also, speaking with Mother Gunachuda, how Vrindavan Prabhu passed, he seemed realized that he was going to go. Mother Gunachuda was saying that he was joking about going back to Bhubaneswara, and he said, "The only way I'm going back to Bhubaneswara is for you to take my ashes," you know. And then even Ajay Govinda Prabhu read his palm a few years ago and said that actually he would pass the age of 64, you know. And then, you know, the day he left, he was doing Go Seva, you know, and then the speed at which he passed, and that he passed with Mother Gunachuda chanting. This is all as if it was planned, destined, you know. And speaking of Mother Gunachuda in that way, you know, they say behind every great man is a great woman, and also behind every great woman is a great man, you know. And so for that, you know, I know how much sacrifice, how much we ask at the Gurukul of Mother Gunachuda, not even actually ask, she does without asking. And for that to even happen, you need someone like a Vrindavan, you need someone who's willing to tolerate the late nights, the constant service, and that's not easy, you know. We all have demands, we all have things, but for someone to tolerate that, and in some ways, like Ananta Prabhu said, I felt like that ruffian on the Harinam that Vrindavan Prabhu was one day going to lift and push over to one side, because I felt how much liberties we were taking. But for that, you know, I'm eternally grateful to Vrindavan Prabhu for bearing with that, and eternally grateful to Mother Gunachuda. You know, we just the week before Vrindavan Prabhu passed, we had Ofsted at the Gurukul, and that's like a torturous experience, you know, and Mother Gunachuda went through that. She had health issues as well, and so many things that, you know, she's had to tolerate and Vrindavan Prabhu's had to tolerate. So I'm eternally grateful to her, to Vrindavan Prabhu. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vrindavan Prabhu ki jai.
Krishna Nam Prabhu. Next, David.
Hare Krishna, everybody. Jai Shri Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu ki Jai. So I knew Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu mainly from Mayapur. Between 2012 and maybe 2016 mostly. And we would do a lot of Harinam around the campus at ISKCON. And very much by his association, I learned how to do Harinam. Not just his association, but very much his presence was powerful. Because in Vrindavan Prabhu's association, your Harinam, your chanting of Krishna, Nam could not be superficial or self-indulgent. So, by his mercy and by the mercy of his friends, then I learned something about crying for Krishna. Because Prabhu was very and is very deep, very sincere, very simple-hearted, authentic, sober, and certainly he was also heavy. He could be heavy. Sometimes I could be a little bit scared to come near to him because he didn't know what he was going to give me. But he was also very soft-hearted, very gentle. And occasionally he gave class. I know that didn't happen much here, and I quizzed him on that once. He just shook his head, and he was very self-effacing. He was like the epitome of self-effacement. He did not try to put himself forward as any special or big. In fact, just the opposite. He was running away from any kind of praise or any situation in which he would be the center of attention. So, but occasionally he gave class in Mayapur, in a private sangha, and he would become like a lion. He was ferocious, and he would have everybody on the edge of their seats, and challenging us. Yes, so he was the opposite of crooked. I remember in one class in Bhubaneswara, he asked the speaker, he said, Maharaj, every Nityananda Trayodashi, we're told we have to dash our head at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. And he said, and I've done it, I've dashed my head, how many times am I going to have to do this before I get Nitai's mercy? So the speaker assured him that yes, we should always be dashing our head at the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So I met him, so many times just here outside the kitchen when I was taking my boy to nursery. And he would always be pushing something to her from the kitchen. And sometimes, we'd wave or he'd stop and he'd say, how are you? I'd say, how are you? And most of the time I'd say, yeah, surviving, struggling, this, that. And then he would start preaching to me. He would start giving it to me, He said, yes, you have to cry for the mercy. So many things he said. Are you crying for the mercy? Are you getting the mercy? And I would give some diplomatic answer, And so one time I said to him, after he gave me the sauce, I said to him, you should be preaching. Why are you not preaching? I know you're a preacher. And he just shook his head. No. He didn't feel that he was the person to preach. But he didn't mind preaching to me. So I found him very challenging. And he was a true friend, because true friends challenge you in Krishna consciousness, make you look at yourself. And yes, force you to think about your surrender and your sincerity. One time, a few years ago, I was walking through the high street in Watford with my wife, and I think I was headed to the bank. And Prabhu I met him on the high street, and he was doing books. So he stopped me, and we got talking. And then he handed me his book bag. He said, "Here, you have to do it now. And what else have you got to do? You're going to the bank? Forget that. Take the books, and I want to start distributing them." So I was like, I'm busy here, I got something to do. Anyway, I felt like I couldn't say no to him. He was impossible to say no to, especially when he was engaging me in such a purifying service. So by his mercy, I spent the next hour distributing books, and a few of them went out. That was nice. And I was happy. I think he was happy that he got me to do it. So a true friend. When I heard that he had passed away, I was very shocked, of course. And at the same time, I felt that, in one sense, he was fortunate because he didn't have to go through the worst of old age. There's some blessing in that. There must be some blessing in that. And I would say it's certainly hard to accept that he's not here, because you get accustomed, you get used to the people in your life that you see every day or talk to regularly. But for me, I just feel personally like it's not that he's gone, because he made a very deep impression on me. And therefore it feels like he'll always be here, always a part of you, just like all the people who make an impact on your life. So I'm very grateful to have known him, and very grateful for his sincere association, his sober association, and I hope that I will be able to imbibe that quality as I finish out the rest of my life. I would like to be as sober, authentic, sincere, and ferocious when the time calls for it. Thank you, Prabhu. Haribol!
Now, let us chant a prayer, chanting 3 times the holy name. All the devotees, I request, chanting this prayer for His Grace Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu, from your heart. Let us chant 3 times. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Grace Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaur Premanande. Now we conclude the remembrance ceremony for His Grace Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu. Thank you so much, everyone who is here present, who has attended before and they left. All, I thank you for attending. Hare Krishna. Yes. Let us chant the Nrsimha prayer. Prema Prabhu told us, so let us do that. Namaste Narasimhaya, Prahlada Lada Daine, Hiranyakase Purvakshaha, Sila Tanka Nakhaloe, Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha Ito Nrsimha Parato Nrsimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Nrsimha Bahi Nrsimha Hridaye Nrsimha Bahi Nrsimha Hridaye Nrsimha Narasinghamadhim Saranam Prapadye Tava Kara Kamalavare Nakha Madhuta Singam Dalita Hiranyakasipu Tanu Bringam Kesavadrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Jai Jagadisa Hare Kesavadhrita Narahari Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jayan Singhade, Jayan Singhade, Jayan Singhade, Jayan Singhade. Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Prahlad Maharaj, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. सर्व भक्त विघ्न विनाशकारिणी सिंहदेव भगवान की, प्रहलाद महाराज की, शील प्रभुपाद की, His Grace Goloka Vrindavan Prabhu ki, Itai Gaur Premanande. Thank you.